Yes.
I wanted to ask about the donut hole.
Yes.
Is it disappearing? Is it gonna?
It will if the act is repealed, because what the act does is close the donut hole.
Well, I've been on Medicare insurance for 2 years. Last year, I hit the donut hole in March. And I hit catastrophic at the end of December. So I had a couple of weeks where I went and got a shingle shot for $9 and like meds. And I still hit the donut hole again in March this year. And I'm only $1,000 away from being catastrophic.
And
My medication.
and what will happen with the donut hole, it's phased in. So within the next 3 to 5 years, depending on your situation, you should call our office. So, and Lisa Perone is here. I know she's probably still here in the back.
Yep.
Because what we try to do also is intervene on behalf of people. And so now usually we have Judith Stein, who's the Medicare advocate for the state, who does a fabulous, fabulous job. So that we want to make sure that when it comes to your benefits and when it comes to what you're should justifiably receive, that we're getting you the coverage to do. So always check on those things. And again, please, dear Lord, protect your identification, because it is the biggest area of theft and abuse that exists in the country. As I said before, superseding prostitution and drugs, if you can believe that.
John, I also have something for you afterwards, my father.
Sure.
Al.
Oh,
Yeah, one quick question. On this Affordable Care Act, I live in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Most likely one of my sons is going to be eligible to expand Medicaid because he doesn't make much money. And we looked at it on the CT. But from what I understand.
how old is he?
20, yeah, he'll be 27. But from what I understand though, that if he were to move to another state that did not expand, that's not expanding Medicaid, like South Carolina or Texas, then he's screwed.
Yeah.
This is scary.
I don't understand why they didn't include this, like, all the states have
They
to be
did,
equal.
but the states had, well, they did, but because you have choice, because the states had choice, and let's be honest about this, there are a lot of states that said, we're not gonna participate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Republican government. Now, a lot of them have come around and said, well, wait a minute, we need that Medicaid money, because they realized they were cutting off their nose to spite their face. And I believe that everyone is gonna come around to it and say, well, wait a minute, we've been going at this from the wrong approach. Why don't we drive down the inefficiencies and the cost and make sure that we're able to expand the program so that people get the care that they need, and then the medical devices, the pharmaceutical, the insurance, the doctors, the lawyers, the Indian chiefs, everybody gets paid because you have the money and the wherewithal to do it, but you've done it because you now have a system that's efficient instead of dysfunctional.
Because the other thing is, from what I understand, if he moves to one of those states, he has to go into one of those exchanges, right? And I also found out that, which I didn't know, that if you live in the state of Connecticut and you're in, go in exchange, you have to leave that exchange and enter the exchange in different states. You have to enter the exchange in the state you're in.
Well, it depends if you still have residency in the state of Connecticut.
Well, let's say you move. And
If you move, definitely.
And no one seems to know, you have to do it within 30 days or 60 days, or you have no, we usually move to another state.
Well, that is a good question. If you moved and trying to make the transition, how long would you have to
Right.
maintain?
Right.
That's a good question. We should follow up on
I
that.
called your office, they say they'd get back to me.
Yeah.
That was 3 weeks ago, no one called.
Do you know who you spoke to?
No, I called your office here in Connecticut, and I gave them a list of questions. Because I called the health exchange, I went to the federal site, and a bunch of questions.
Well,
And nobody can answer them.
well, the questions have to be answered by the exchange, not by our congressional office. When we do it, what we would, so they probably called the exchange, and they probably haven't gotten an answer yet either. So,
Because most of my questions had to do with going from one state to another
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Because, one of the things.
And that's a very
Obama
difficult
said-
question.
One of the things that Obama said is that you have health insurance, once you get health insurance.
I mean, that's their right. I mean, and that's, they can participate or not. And you want people to have choice, because that's what makes the system. And people say, well, no one should tell me what to do. Well, you're right, nobody should tell you have to have automobile insurance either. But you know, in order to protect the safety and liability, you know, maybe you're impervious and can't get disease, or you're not gonna be one that gets sick. I don't know. You know, you can roll the dice on that, that's your choice, but what we're saying is that if you decide not to, yeah, there's a fine, and your choice is, well, I can pay the fine, or I can get the insurance, or I cannot, you know, pay the fine. But at the example I gave of a young person, if you got a choice between a $90 fine or $121 to buy a benefit, I think that's pretty good. I don't think that that's bad, and it's not as what everyone said it was going to be, how awful it was going to be, and what has it done? And where did the insurance rates come in? I said this all along. Look, insurance companies are in business to make money, and they were going to drive this system up as far as they could, because they could, until there's competition in an exchange. And then all of a sudden the prices start to drop down. And if the longer it's up, the more effective it is, the more that people band together, the lower the price. The more that we drive the inefficiencies out of it, the lower the price. And you know what? The healthier we try to make people, and the more accessible that we try to make healthcare, the longer they live. The longer they live, the more money the insurance company makes in terms of their actuarial assumptions. So everybody wins. Isn't that what we should be doing?
So the best place to get information is from the local exchange.
The exchange, the people, the Access Connecticut
Even
people.
questions regarding the federal law, and because I have other questions.
Well, what you're talking about is the juxtaposition of federal and state law as it relates to Medicaid, and leaving one state, a state that is participating in the program, and one that isn't. And that is a difference. Now, I hope that Connecticut uses that to attract people to be here.
The other question, if no one can understand, is that I'm on retirement, I have medical insurance retirement with my company. Okay, I'm eligible, and it is outrageous in costs. The question is, can I go to an exchange to lower my costs?
Yes.
Because I was told that if you're eligible for insurance through a company in your retirement, you're not eligible for credits.
Correct.
Well, that's correct. So how do I save money?
I would go to the Access people. That's what you do. You go to the exchange and say, here's my situation. How do I save money? How old are you?
I am 61.
All right. So you're one of those people, as I said
Right,
before.
because I was forced into retirement. I was, you know, I left, the job was ended, but I was with the company long enough to be in retirement with them.
And how many people do you know that are in the same situation? I've talked to so many of my friends who say to me, damn, I just wish you made this so that we could get into a program. We're sitting out here without, the exchanges won't be open until 2014.
Right.
We're sitting out here laid off by the company or let go. We got a golden handshake, whatever, but we're in this gap
Where I'm getting my paid medical
where we don't
insurance, but
have
it's ridiculous.
coverage. So Bertolini's point, and the point, I don't know if you read the Time magazine article, that's where they were saying, you need to bridge the gap for these people. Now, on one hand, you could say, oh, those awful corporations. Now, let's be honest, the corporation is looking at it and they're going, well, let's see, he's 55 years old, he costs X, actuarially, his expectation is Y, this is what the cost is. They go, green shade, you're out. And especially with big companies, okay? But now, what does the person do to get into an exchange or to get the bridge to get to Medicare? And I think in so many instances, we're gonna have to do a better job at that. And I think as the program unfolds, look, it's not without its problems. And it's not without, you know, remedies that we have to do, but as people are sorting their way through it, is it better to have 44 million people that weren't covered at all and just pass these along, or to have a program where you can't be denied because of a pre-existing condition, your costs are capped so that you can never go bankrupt over this, that children can stay on your policy to age 26, that you have, once you reach age 65, you have free checkups and free preventative care, that you have end-of-life consultation with doctors because that's important as well. These are all big issues for people that need to be addressed.
I agree with the act. I'm all for it. It's just that some of these issues, I don't know.
It's scary, man.
It's scary. It is scary.